Hi there, wherever you may be in the world, and I hope you are keeping well, keeping safe and sane during these most challenging times. Now, I've just been out for a walk. It was really needed, and it has been needed just as an outlet to be able to release and let go of some of the emotions. This is what I do, like, as an outlet, and also connecting with you is another means. So the reason why I'm sharing this is that it's the topic that I want to discuss. This week has been the toughest week. I thought COVID alone was going to be the most challenging experience ever. So if you'd seen my other video on my timeline, it would have been about the killing of George Floyd. So I grew up in the US, and I'm originally from Malawi and a Brit by birth. So I just wanted to elaborate that so that at least we can connect a little bit more. Let me know where you're connecting from and also what your experience has been like. So if you have been afflicted and pained this week, just like I have, then yeah, this message is also for you. So my experience has always been that this is not the first time I've had to see something like this through the lens or to experience the pain. It has been going on for centuries for most people of color in this way. The only difference now is that it's being recorded. And I also want to make it clear that this is also something that is about humanity. You do not need to be a person of color to feel something and to also contribute to effecting positive change, because this also has to come to an end, and the only way that change can take place is by everybody playing their own part in whatever small way that you can in order to positively contribute. My beliefs: I don't believe that anybody's skin pigmentation should determine entitlement. It should never have ever been thought about, never been created, but there's always going to be some form of competition in society. So if you are a person of color that has felt like you don't belong in certain places, always feel that you do belong in those places and you are entitled. Just like anybody is entitled to be anywhere, you are also entitled to have a voice. Anybody else who's been affected, you do not, again I'll say it, you don't have to be a person of color. So my emotions this week have been emotions like most people would experience, of grief as a result of seeing what I can and see and I would have wanted to see. But the only thing is that this is a traumatic experience and it's not new. Again, it's something that has been going over and over again. So what do you do with those emotions, especially if you have been growing up in communities where you have been oppressed so many times over and over again, where you feel like you don't have an outlet, you don't have a place where you can express yourself, or where you feel like you're being heard? So first of all, I would like to put my hand up and say that I do not condone to any form of violence. I always believe in love and peaceful matches as well, because I don't condone anybody being hurt. I also don't condone people being killed innocently. I also don't condone any acts of somebody who has an unjust or feels entitled to place themselves in a place of authority and believe that they can kill innocent people. Okay, so I don't also condone crime, just to be quite clear. So if anybody is in a position where they're hurting somebody else, then it is a crime that's being committed. And I hope that George Floyd does get his justice, and I hope you do the right justice that he deserves. There's so many things that I could say about what has been done, how it's been managed. Some of it is not surprising. It is shocking how it's become socially, culturally acceptable, not by everybody, but generally what we perceive from the outside is that there's something that is silent, something that has been numbed, something that has been like a mass killing, a genocide that has been going on for centuries, and it has become something that is just it's another life. Somebody is, somebody has passed away, has been killed. It's just another life. But the thing is, for people of color, we are all affected, and you never ever forget. I can't speak on another person who's not a person of color, because I don't know what your experience is like or how you're affected. For me, it's connected to my ancestors. It's connected to living in the US. It's connected to my parents, my dad especially, talking about his experiences of living like in the UK in the 70s, and also being looked at for being like different, and he only needed is to say a few words for me to, for things that he went through, the experiences that he went through, for them to be embedded in my mind and for me to remember. But that has never stopped me from speaking up and speaking out, from also not feeling, what is it, I haven't stopped myself from progressing any further. But that's not to say that if I was in another situation, my situation could have been different, because I know there are people in communities where they feel restricted and limited, and they're not able to get out of those situations. I used to say I was fortunate to be African, first of all, to have lived in the US, but not have to had like the painful history that most Black African Americans have gone through their ancestors, and through living the lived experience, and also through living here in the UK. But now, through this experience, I'm looking at it in a different way, that I shouldn't have needed to even say that. Not that I was in the wrong, but nobody should ever need to say, I feel lucky for not having been born somewhere. We are all entitled to have a space in the US or wherever it is. Nobody has any entitlement to anybody. Nobody has any entitlement to anybody because of their skin color. So I've been going through all sorts of emotions, being wounded, and sadly seeing so many shootings, so many killings. You start to feel so powerless. You start to feel voiceless. And I'm learning again that we must not stop, but speaking up, speaking out in order to effect change. I was also connecting with like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, looking for some form of leadership, Obama, Michelle, looking at what they're saying, and other influential people. That peacefulness, compassion, empathy, love still needs to continue.